We're always trying to make ourselves better, improve ourselves, always aiming to be the best versions of who we are. But in order for us to evolve, in order for us to improve, something has to dissolve, something has to change. And honestly, it's not as complicated as I once thought. The hardest part for me was accepting myself. I used to spend a lot of time denying parts of myself, thinking that that was how I would get better by denying the parts of myself that I did not like. And that's how I would improve myself by improving the physical or improving my knowledge or becoming this spiritual identity. But that also doesn't feel real. It felt like I was trying to create someone else instead of just improving what was already here in a true way. For me, self improvement isn't about changing who I am, it's about improving how I see myself, how I see the world around me, how I see others. It's about improving the place I'm looking from rather than creating someone new. To truly grow, we have to accept all parts of ourselves. And in order for us to evolve, something has to dissolve. Our beliefs, our conditioning, how we see ourselves. For me, this is what needed to dissolve in order to come back to a natural place of seeing and observing. It's easy to accept parts of ourselves that we like, but the parts of ourselves that we don't like, that's what's hard to accept. We have to accept all versions of who we have been because there are ups and downs in life. We'll all experience highs and lows, but to move forward, excuse me, my allergies, to move forward, we have to accept both the parts we like and the parts we don't like. I say this because if we don't accept all parts of ourselves, we'll try to make something we think is better instead of improving what's already here. Self improvement isn't about becoming perfect or wise, it's about improving the place we're seeing the world from. If you try to recreate a better version of ourselves, you still have to do it from that original space. So if you're trying to recreate yourself on a physical point of view, you're still doing it from that canvas, if that makes sense. And so for me, improving myself was not so much about improving the canvas because the canvas is already perfect. It was improving how I see everything around me because it's not that everything around me needs to improve, it's how I see it that needed to improve. So it's about improving the place we're seen from, how we see the world. And we carry so many beliefs and perspective. It's hard to let them go because we identify with them for so long. We've identified with them. We feel that without these beliefs, we aren't who we're supposed to be. But it took me time to realize that self improvement isn't about being perfect. It's about improving the way I see things. How can we know what is good if we don't know what's bad about ourselves? How can we know where we want to go if we don't know where we are? So for me, self-improvement isn't just about getting better. It's about improving how I view myself. And what I thought I once knew, I had to let go and accept what is where I am right now. I realized that accepting all of who I am is really the key to growing, not trying to figure out how I should be. When I started doing that, I felt free, I felt more authentic. I realized that I needed to connect with who I truly am on a deeper level in order to grow. I see now that my spiritual journey isn't about just following a practice, it's about living it. At first, I thought being present meant being aware of where I was in the moment. And then I went from that stage to recognizing that it's not just being where you are in the moment, but what's also happening around you. But then it grew because then I realized it's not only just what's happening, but accepting what's happening around me in the present moment. And that is where I am right now, with being fully present and accepting everything that is happening in the moment. Not just parts of it, but all of it. Being present isn't just about being aware. It's about accepting things as they are. Trying to be perfect, I think, is the biggest imperfection of all. If we get stuck in trying to be perfect, we don't really grow. I think if you achieve perfection, then that's it. That's it. There's nothing else. What is after being perfect? It feels like the end. Where I am now is understanding that all I have to do is be present in the moment. And that means not trying to figure out what's next or what I should be doing. Sometimes I notice that I'm trying to figure it all out, but I'm learning to just be here in the moment and trust that I don't need to have everything figured out. And my mind wants to resist this, and it seems hard not to have things figured out. But something has to dissolve in order to evolve. It's okay if things aren't always right. All I have to do is stay present and accept the moment as it is. I've learned to observe. I've learned that there is no attachment in observing. If we observe from a place of judgment, we'll end up judging. To improve our lives and our experience, we need to look from a pure place, free of judgment. For me, that's what self-improvement is all about. And it can be scary to wake up to the truth of who you are, to realize that certain things aren't what we thought they were, to realize certain things about ourselves. Imagine waking up and not seeing things the way you left them. Self-improvement forces us to face parts of ourselves we're attached to. It can feel like we're losing parts of ourselves, and change is uncomfortable. But to truly improve our lives, we have to accept where we are to know where we're going. as we grow, all of what we thought we once knew starts to dissolve. We have to be willing to let them go in order to improve. We have to be willing to let them go, especially if you are in your 40s, in your 50s, even in your 30s, at any stage of life. What I have realized is that I have to let things go. Daily, I have to let things go in order to evolve. And there will be resistance. The resistance comes from holding on to things. And even now, I still experience sometimes that resistance to hold on to what I've known for so long. But I've always trusted that something is guiding me. It's not about fixing what's already whole inside. For me, what's always improving is the way I see myself and the world around me. And I do this by accepting whatever is happening in the moment, not focusing on the world itself, but how I view it. When we can accept all parts of ourselves, that's the greatest thing we can give to ourselves. Because what we're doing is we're caring for ourselves, we're loving ourselves along the way as we become more aware of what's inside the inner self, not this physical body. Taking care of the physical becomes something natural. Once you're healthy, can I say it in a practical way? Once we're healthy on the inside, that physical well-being becomes something that we naturally do. We don't need to focus on the physical to be aligned. We align with what's inside first. This helps us recognize the pure self within us and the true consciousness we are.